Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's from Canto 2, Chapter 1, and Text 3. So without further ado, I'll start the class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Privajikacharya Astottara Satasishimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Nityalila Pravishya Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Privajikacharya Astottara Satasishimad His Divine Grace Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai ISKCON founder Acharya Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai प्रेम से कहूँ श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री द्वैत गदाधर शिवाचार्य गौर भक्तवृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपन श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय मथुरा धाम की जय नवद्वीप धाम की जय जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय गंगा माई की जय जमुना माई की जय तुलसी देवी की जय भक्ति देवी की जय हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय समवेद भक्त वृंद की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी हरि 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 बोल all glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga Lord Srila Prabhupada Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Stapane Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Narayana Namaskritya Narontevam Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Gujirayat Nashta Prayesva Bhadresu Nityam Bhagata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishchiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna. So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, Text 3. I'll chant that 3 times, and the boys who feel so inclined can chant at that time. Hare Krishna. Nidraya Hridaye Kriyate Naktam Vyabhayena Chavabhaya Deva Charte Haya Rajan Kutumba Bharane Nava Nidraya Kriyate Naktam Vyabhayena Chavabhaya Deva Kartihaya Rajan Kutumba Parane Nava Nidraya Hriyate Naktam Vyavayena Chavaya Deva Kartihaya Rajan Kutumba Parane Nava. Hare Krishna. I saw Vishnu Gadaprabhu on there earlier. I don't know whether she's still on. But if you are Prabhu, then maybe you can chant now. Okay, he's not on now. So anyone who else who want to chant now can do. Unmute yourself and chant. Hare Krishna.
निद्रया ह्रियते नक्तं व्यवयेन च वावयः दिवाचार्थे या राजन् कुटुम्बभरणेन वा हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Hare Krishna. All right. So we'll do word for word now. Nidraya by sleeping. Hiriyate waste. Knockdown night. Vyavayena sex indulgence. Cha also. Va either. Vaya duration of life. Deva days. Cha and. Artha economic. Ihaya development. Rajan O king. Kutumba family members. Paranina maintaining. Va either. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The lifetime of such an envious householder is passed at night, either in sleeping or in sex indulgence, and in the daytime, either in making money or maintaining family members. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The present human civilization is primarily based on the principles of sleeping and sex indulgence at night and earning money in the day and spending the same for family maintenance. Such a form of human civilization is condemned by the Bhagavad school. Because human life is a combination of matter and spirit, so the whole process of Vedic knowledge is directed at liberating the spirit soul from the contamination of matter. The knowledge concerning this is called Atma Tattva. Those men who are too materialistic are unaware of this knowledge and are more inclined to economic development for material enjoyment. Such materialistic men are called karmis, or fruitive laborers, and they are allowed regulated economic development or association of women with sex indulgence. Those who are above the karmis, that is, the jnanis, yogis, and devotees, are strictly prohibited from sex indulgence. The karmis are more or less devoid of Atma Tattva, knowledge, and as such, their life is spent without spiritual profit. The human life is not meant for hard labor for economic development, nor is it meant for sex indulgence like that of the dogs and hogs. It is specially meant for making a solution to the problems of material life and the miseries thereof. So the karmis waste their valuable human life by sleeping and sex indulgence at night, and by laboring hard in the daytime to accumulate wealth. And after doing so, they try to improve the standard of materialistic life. The materialistic way of life is described herein in a nutshell, and how foolishly men waste the boon of human life is described as follows. Om Gena Timirandasya, Gana Gena Shalakaya, Chakshu Om Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha, Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale, Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Peshtaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinami. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini, Nirvishesha Sunyavari Paschatya Deshatarani. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shiva Shari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. So the English translation again. The lifetime of such an envious householder is passed at night either in sleeping or in sex indulgence, and in the daytime either in making money or maintaining family members. So this has been explained to us by Shukadeva Goswami, who describes what people are doing now, the majority of people in the world, and then what are the devotees supposed to do. He even mentions not only karmis, who are non-devotees, but gyanis, as well as yogis, and then devotees. So everybody gets a chance to be weighed in, so to speak, by Shukadeva Goswami as to what their life should be about, what they should do, and how to avoid sense gratification. The karmis are not trying to avoid sense gratification in any way. They are thinking, and this is actually going on, they're thinking that this is life. What is life? Well, when you go to school and you finish and you grow up, then you find a job. And the idea of getting a job is so you can bring in some money. And the idea of bringing in some money is to spend for your own self, or you marry. And usually, for karmis, they marry for reasons other than spiritual. And then after they begin to settle down wherever they start, they are thinking of bringing in more money and having a better standard of life. This is all around the world. This is going on. And people who try to improve the standard of life materially and are unable to do that to a good extent, getting anxiety. Sometimes they resort to a life of crime. Also, they can bring more material things into their lives. And all the while, they have no understanding about Atma Tattva. Atma, the soul. Tattva means truth. So Atma Tattva is the realization of the science of the soul, or the truth about the soul. So those of us who now are in this Krishna consciousness movement have received the mercy of the acharyas, and especially Srila Prabhupada, who not only has taught us, but has taught people all around the world, and also has made this Krishna consciousness very, very, very simple to follow. He's also thrown in mercy by getting the kind of break for us that in chanting the holy name, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, 16 rounds on japa, and obeying the regulated principles, we have a very, very good chance of going back to the spiritual world. The only thing that usually would ruin it is if we become offensive, because you cannot have an offensive attitude in the spiritual world. They would not allow you there in the first place. So we have to be very careful not to get other devotees upset and people in general. because people in general, when we relate to them very nicely, they will think of us as good people. And what is naturally the idea that follows is that good people do good things. That's why they're good people. Therefore, whatever you're connected with, hmm, as far as God consciousness is, because they are the religions, but whatever you're connected with, if they like you as a person, they will be open to that too. Now, whether they'll join it or take it seriously, that's up to them. But you can do your part, hmm, especially if you establish a good relationship with them. You can give them prashada, and that will open the door for them, by Krishna's mercy, at some point, take this process seriously and begin their journey back home, back to Godhead. So we are very fortunate in that sense that we joined with this. Now, in the text before this, yesterday, Mother Gita Mataji from ISKCON Atlanta, was discussing the whole thing about Srila Prabhupada's purport in the previous verse, verse 2. The difference between Grihasta and Grihamedi. Hmm? And Medi has to do with the envy, Grihamedi. Hmm? And that's why in this translation you see the lifetime, it says the lifetime of such an envious householder. Griha, house, Medi is envious. Hmm? An envious householder. So that's a Grihamedi. The lifetime of such person is past the nighttime and the daytime. Hmm? The nighttime sleeping, sleep until they're satisfied. They don't think about getting up anytime in the early morning, hmm, as we are encouraged to do, and given that Brahma Muhurta time to Krishna conscious activity, especially chanting of the holy name. They also, Grihamedi involves themselves in sex indulgence. And it's got to the point where people think that's life. That is life. You work hard, you try to make money during the day, and you buy things for your family members, necessities as well as things that are frivolous, but they just want it anyway. Hmm? I remember a situation that just crossed me. This is in YouTube I saw. Hmm? Just a comment. There was a young girl, African American young girl, who became a professional tennis player. And she won the US Open last year, I think, last year. And it comes with some few millions of dollars. So that's a lot of money, like 4 or 5 million. So to be the champion. And what happens? She has a brother, and the brother wanted a very fancy Italian sports car. And she bought it for him. Mm. Some of you may know it's called Bugatti. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars, some of them close to $1 million, because the boy just wanted a Bugatti. So his sister got it for him. Spending like that. Hmm. What good is it going to do? Well, that's their life. Who am I to, to disagree with what they do? But it is a Maybe life. Hmm? And what it's going to bring is other people are going to be envious. Oh, you have such a nice sports car. And that thing does over 200 miles an hour in full speed. Of course, where you're going to drive that kind of car? Hmm? Where you're going to be able to get that kind of speed allowed by, by the traffic controllers, the cops. They won't allow it. But just to have that, and just people just flaunt those kinds of things out. But when you become a devotee, you understand this is all not important. The important thing is to free the soul. So the lifetime of such a Grihamedi is for sleeping or sex indulgence without wanting the results of it. They don't want a baby. So sex indulgence with prevention of pregnancy. Mm-hmm. And there's a very, very, very serious repercussion or consequences for avoiding pregnancy in sex indulgence, artificially avoiding pregnancy. Hmm? This is because for the man carries the seed that would fertilize the egg of the woman that is supposed to. Along with that is the soul that is supposed to take birth in the woman's womb. So when sex indulgence is actually for the soul to be present in the fertilized egg and pregnancy to begin. So when that is avoided at the material level, physically avoided, then the soul has to be taken to another place. The soul that should have caused the pregnancy in the woman, now it has to be arranged so that the Lord's agents take the soul out and somewhere else. Hmm? So there's a disruption in the way things are supposed to happen. The unnatural way, just for sense gratification. So yes, Shukadeva Goswami is talking about how the Hamedis passed their lives, but it is also for us to know what to do and what not to do. And that's why sometimes there are texts like that. Because Papa, especially in the purport, spends so much time talking about what a devotee should do, and what a devotee should not do. And when they talk about what should not be done, then usually they will give examples of those who are doing what shouldn't be done. So it's clear to us. So when we see people doing that, we don't think that they are in a better position because they have more wealth and those kind of things. Nadanam najanam nasundarim kavitam va jagadishikamaye mama janmani janmanishwari bhavatar bhakti ahotki twaye. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, he himself says, dear Lord, I don't want to accumulate wealth. I don't want beautiful opposite gender marry. Hmm? I don't want followers. I just want causeless devotional service. Every time. Here in the earth, back in the spiritual world, back in the spiritual world is automatic. Everybody does that. But even here in the material world, causeless devotional service. Why? Because it helps us to develop love of Godhead. And from love of Godhead, all our problems get solved. Here in the material world, we become detached from a lot of the material things that Grihamedis do. So Srila Prabhupada is talking about this situation about Grihamedis. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, this present civilization is based primarily of the principles of working hard, sleeping, working hard in the day to earn money, and then you do use that for family maintenance, and also sleeping and sex indulgence at night. And then he says, such a form of human civilization is condemned by the Bhagavad school. Why? Because it is a life of material sense gratification, which never leaves us the opportunity to go back to Godhead. It doesn't give us that opportunity to get out of this prison. And those who live like that, their priorities are messed up because they don't realize that the main thing is to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Life is supposed to be to satisfy the senses of Lord Vishnu, Krishna. So the priorities are changed. Satisfying the senses of Lord Vishnu has been changed to satisfying the person's own senses. We always have to put our senses as secondary to the Lord. For devotees, everything should be done with Krishna in mind. How does this satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead? If it does, I will definitely do it. If there's some things that I've been doing earlier that are just for me, we have to rethink how to do the same thing and tweak it, part of it, such that it becomes a service to the devotees, a service to Guru, or a service to the deity. In every aspect of our life, we should take stock, look at what we do, the material things, and see how we can dovetail it or connect it with service to Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just by that effort, wanting to do it, Krishna will give us the intelligence to be able to do a very good job of dovetailing our material activities for Krishna consciousness. And on top of that, it also means that we get more spiritual credits. And on top of that, our love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead would increase because we made those decisions and tried to change our lives based on wanting to make Krishna happy with us. And Krishna operates based on love. And so if we do things to make Krishna happy, we are actually learning how to love God for real. Not a matter of just talking about it, but actually doing it. These are day-to-day activities, and also that part's called Karma Yoga. Whatever we do ourselves, but dovetail it for Krishna, to satisfy Krishna. It also means, when we say satisfying Krishna, that we do things to serve Krishna's devotees. Krishna is especially pleased when his devotees are served nicely. So devotees are an opportunity for us to grow in Krishna consciousness by how we relate to them. So we should serve devotees with our hearts. So Atma Tattva, Srila Prabhupada is explaining knowing the truth regarding the soul. As we well know now, some people, by the way, non-devotees don't even know this simple fact that human life is a combination of matter and the spirit soul. They know about matter. Some people think that we all matter and nothing else. But human life is a combination. All living entities are a combination of their bodies and in the spirit soul. And we are in this cosmic jail. So we have to develop love of Godhead and also get the opportunity to get out from developing love of Godhead. So understanding what the soul is supposed to be about, that's called Atma Tattva. And Srila Prabhupada says the men who are too materialistic, when it becomes materialistic, they're not aware of this knowledge. And so then they will go to Dharma, Artha, Karma, Moksha. Religiosity, economic development, sense enjoyment, and hopefully liberation. Even that sometimes they don't get. So material things, these people who are called karmis, Srila Prabhupada defines fruitive laborers. They incline to such things. So even that, some regulation is put in place for them. But now, Kali Yuga is all enjoy yourself. If it feels good, do it. If it feels good, do it. Therefore, do it till you're satisfied, whatever it is. People even have made songs about it. So, unfortunately, that is the situation we're in. But devotee life is not meant for this hard labor for economic development. And it is not meant for sex indulgence. And Srila Prabhupada says, like that of the hogs and dogs. Dogs are shameless in wherever that they connect sexually, and hogs are shameless in whichever hog that they connect with, not caring for any family relationship with them. So that's the way it is. It's a very, very low class type life, and we're not meant to live that way. So human civilization, what is it for? It's meant for making a solution to the problems of material life and the miseries that it comes from. That material life gives us miseries. Sometimes we push it in the back of our minds, but sometimes we are forced to face the truth. The fact of the matter is that when a person is diseased, they are suffering. And that is the truth about it. And it's based on the physical body. The soul never gets diseased. Physical body gives that problem. The physical body is the one that dies, and the concomitant sorrow that it comes with. It's the human body that gets old. the body, the physical body that gets old. Hmm? And when it gets old, the material parts of this body is breaking down and they're causing their own problems. Hmm? So that is what's going on as far as the human life is concerned. The body does that. Hmm? So we try to make a solution. Well, the body is going to do what it's going to do. Therefore, in order to stop that, we have to get away from the body. And that is go to the place where the soul is free. And that is going back to the spiritual world. And so Srila Prabhupada has explained this and also given us the opportunity. We just have to take advantage of the opportunity. That is what human intelligence is meant for. Hmm? Human intelligence is meant for inquiring about the truth of life. Hmm? So in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 5, Text 1, Lord Rishabhadev, an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he's advising his 100 sons. In text 1, what to do with human life. So Lord Rishabhadev says, Nayam deho deha pacham driloke, kastan kavan ahate vid bujanye, tapo vidyam putraka dena satvam, sudyed yasmat brahma sokyam tuanantam. Srila Prabhupada has actually given lectures on this particular verse so many times because Maharaj Rishabhadev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as an incarnation, as a king, is telling his 100 boys, his 100 sons. He says, my dear boys, of all the living entities who have accepted material bodies in this world, that soul who has been awarded this human form should not work hard day and night just for sense gratification. Mm-hmm. Because sense gratification is available even for the dogs and hogs that eat stew. What should one do? One should engage in penance and austerity to attain the divine position of devotional service. So Maharaj Rishabhadev talks about what to do. Engage in penance and austerity. Now, for us, the austerity is actually woven into the rules that we have to obey. No illicit sex, no gambling, no meat eating, like that. No illicit sex, no gambling, no meat eating. So you just obey those, and that is termed an austerity because the people of the world are now using those things as sense gratification. Hmm? Speaking about that, we add intoxication to no intoxicants. And the devotees have to take those very, very seriously. But all around us, non-devotees who form the majority, they are doing those things. They involving themselves in illicit sex. They involving themselves in meat eating, all kinds of different meat and chicken and fish and everything else, and other types of seafood. Involving themselves in intoxicants, and the gambling. Even the state encourages gambling to the point where now you can buy state lottery ticket and you choose 6 numbers out of 36 numbers. And who knows? Maybe you have good karma. The Buddhists don't live based on karma, but you might win some money. But mathematically, statistically, the odds are stacked very much against the person who plays the lottery. But then there's a lure of, but if I play, then I am now a part of the group of people that can win $1 million come the end of the day. Or whenever that lottery is played, 6 numbers are chosen. The fact of the matter is that the state has a 1 million, over 1,910,000 times the opportunity of taking your money compared to you winning the $1 million. The odds are against us by 1 to 1.9 million. So of course the state would encourage it. Come play, come play. Those who don't know that it's this is much is stacked against them, just give them money freely. Hmm? People don't like to be taxed, but this lure of having to play the lottery and having to get this money, possibly, because once you join in, then there's a possibility of you being the winner. Hmm? Even got to the point where some people are literally claiming that there is a way to win weekly. And they've begun to advertise on YouTube. You cannot miss YouTube advertisement if you want to watch something else. The first few seconds, somebody is telling you something that they want to sell. Somebody's actually saying that it is possible to win week by week. If you play, we have a method to do it. Absolute lies. It's not possible mathematically. They didn't talk about all of it. We can prove it to the very end that there's no way that a person can play weekly. Hmm? You have to put in $1.9 million to get all the combinations, if you know what, all the combinations of 6 numbers to win. It's not possible. And if you win $1 million. But you spend $1.9 million just to get a ticket that wins? Doesn't make any sense. That's it. We don't even need to belabor this. So the point is, in devotee life, stop that. Hmm? No gambling, no intoxications, because that ruins the physical body, and we don't own these physical bodies. Krishna gave it to us, but we're not owners of it. Hmm? If we were owners of it, we had control over it, we wouldn't want to get sick. And we certainly can't, we can determine so many things about it, but it's out of our hands because we're not the owners. Hmm? So one should engage in penance and austerity. And the austerity, remember, we are in jail. So in order to get out of jail, we have to do things that are right, and also impress the authorities so that they'll be happy with us. We say, oh, this is a good prisoner. Let's see about the time to get out of there. You can be paroled and we'll get out sooner. So that's our position. But it's even better than that because the authority is also very loving. Krishna and his beautiful devotees are very loving. So they will encourage us and give us the mercy that when we put in the effort, then there's more of an opportunity to get out. They give to us like that. So we have to take advantage of it. So engaging in penance and austerity, and one of the things is getting up early in order to chant one's round. It's just a question of pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, showing him by saying that at any price I'm willing to pay in order to learn to love you. And from that, Krishna will be happy with us and he will allow us back home. Srimati Radharani will be happy. Srimati Radharani goes to all kinds of lengths to make Krishna happy. And so if we go through all kinds of austerities in order just to make the spiritual master happy, just to make the devotees happy, just to make Krishna happy, Srimati Radharani notices everything she will say, and the Lord in the heart also, Paramatma, says that we have an opportunity to go home. So one should engage in penance and austerity to get to the divine position of devotional service. And what happens? Our hearts get purified. When we're trying to love someone, we will do things that we normally wouldn't do even for ourselves. And so when we say, oh, it's difficult to get up, look at it as I'm trying to learn how to love Krishna. And for that reason, I will do it. For my own self, I wouldn't want to. But just because Krishna will be happy with me, I'll do it anyway. And by doing so, Lord Rishabhadev says, the person who does that attains eternal, blissful life. And that is transcendental to material happiness. eternal blissful life. We get to go home. And this eternal blissful life will continue forever. Hmm? So Lord Rishabhadeva is explaining the importance of human life. Once a person gets to this human life, the human body, and by the way, it takes a while, millions of bodies that are not human, that the soul goes through before they get a chance to get a human life. So what's happening is many people are wasting this human life, living like Grihamidis. But we have this, and we have this human body, and we have the intelligence and the knowledge by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We keep hearing different aspects of it, but it all boils down to serving from our hearts the devotees, the spiritual master, who is a representative of Krishna, and the Lord in the deity form, because we cannot, with these material eyes, see the spiritual form of the Lord. And so he has given us a mercy by coming. The deity is the Lord himself, but he's done two things. Material things, so we can see the deity with our eyes, and the deity doesn't do anything, so that we have 100% chance of serving the deity. Anything the deity would do for himself or herself, she might throw out around sometimes, we won't be able to do because the deity has done it. The deity is totally capable, but because they want us out of their mercy to get all the spiritual credits that we can possibly get from serving, then they stand in one position. So nobody should ever think that because the deities are stationary, that they're just a piece of material activity. Not only is, material form, not only is that an offense, but you will never get back to the spiritual world thinking the deity like that. It's not a piece of wood. It's not just metal. It's the Lord himself. The Lord can change material to spiritual, and therefore the deities are formed, and they come and they are installed. They are the Lord, and they are spiritual, but still done in such a way that we can serve them fully. And we also can, from that service, get spiritual credits and be able to go back home based on the spiritual credits. So we shouldn't undergo severe hardships all day just for eating, drinking, indulging in sex, and sleeping, and trying to defend ourselves too. That is not human civilization. This is that which is happening in Kali Yuga, and people have accepted it. So we have to understand what things are like. We are living, of course, in these material bodies. We have to have the material aspect of the necessity of material things done. But we have to have the consciousness that says, this is not me. I am really spirit soul. My life is not like that. But the situation that I'm in this material world, I have to do these things to keep the body together with the soul. That should be the only reason. So we do what is necessary. But the important thing is to keep feeding the soul by the ways in which we've been instructed by the spiritual master. And the Param spiritual master is Krishna himself, who spoke to Arjuna in the battle of Kurukshetra, in the battlefield before the war, what we know as the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Tells you who we are at the spiritual level, tells who Krishna is in our relationship, and how to take full advantage of the relationship, the understanding. So Krishna has put it all out. And then he comes again in different incarnations, and his spiritual and his associates also come. And they speak about Krishna with even greater detail. Srimad Bhagavatam, commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. So with that, we change the human life. And this life that we're living now, if we live a devotee life, we are living life as it's supposed to be in Satya Yuga. Everybody else is living life based on Kali Yuga. Mm? Eating, drinking, having illicit sex, sleeping, trying to defend itself, of course, because there are more criminals in Kali Yuga. But this life that is already lived is a life that's going to be prevalent, or it is prevalent in Satya Yuga, in the Golden Age. So we're supposed to live the Satya lifestyle and induce others to slowly come to realize from their intelligence the importance of living a Satya Yuga lifestyle. Mm. So we are fortunate in that sense that we're living this life that is meant for elevation spiritually. It feeds the soul, the lifestyle that we have now. And we should really, really take it not only seriously, but encourage others to take it also seriously. And in that way, Krishna will be happy with us because the more people we're able to bring to Krishna consciousness, the happier Krishna will be with us because there's more souls trying to go back to Godhead now, or made the decision to go back to Godhead by our effort. So we shouldn't be selfish as far as the woody life is concerned, doing only for us. Even when we chant, it's better to chant out loud, chant so you can hear. It helps our focus. But at the same time, the holy name is now coming out into the atmosphere, and the living entities that are not in human bodies that cannot chant the holy name of the Lord, those souls will pick up on it and also be glorified that way, or be, helped that way. The sound of the name is Krishna himself. And so we should be, see, from that, we should have that consciousness. So we don't do things just to do it. We do it with reason. Chanting out loud helps me focus, and it also helps everyone within the area that I'm chanting, whether they're in a human body or not, to also benefit from the holy name. So that way, slowly, we will have to just stay away from this Grahamedi life that Shukadeva Goswami was describing, and take the spiritual life as serious, and the material life, only parts of it that we involve in or we get involved in to maintain our bodies, take it only as necessary while we are still in these bodies. And Krishna will be happy with us when we get a chance to go back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So thank you, dear devotees, for allowing me to do this service. Now this is time to unmute yourself, and if you have any comments or takeaways or questions, then you can actually ask or comment at that time. Anyone who's interested, please unmute yourself now, and let's have a discussion. Hare Krishna. All right, so then I'm not hearing anybody unmuting. And thank you for all being here. We're not stopping yet. I will throw out a question, and hopefully some of the bodies will unmute to try to answer the question. Now that we know what Grihamedi life is, this life of sense gratification, what are some of the suggestions that you can give to each other to encourage us for spiritual life? What are some of the suggestions that we have? Please unmute and talk and preach, and let us all benefit from it. There are quite a few devotees, some of them initiated right on this now. Please unmute yourself, and also, put yourself in my position like you're preaching. Some things that can be done, practical things. Hare Krishna. Dear Krishna Prabhu, can you offer some suggestions? Hare Krishna. Dear Krishna Prabhu, maybe he got off for a little while. Okay. Nichigo Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I had stepped out. I just came back. I think you asked some question, right?
Yeah, I asked like suggestions, practical suggestions that can help devotees to improve their spiritual life. Now that we know that Grihamidi life is not for us,
Yeah.
but yeah,
So such a wonderful question, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for asking and taking
Hare
it
Krishna.
an input from everyone. Yes, for me, it helps to read the Srila Prabhupada's books because they bring the authentic knowledge and the process about the bhakti process and bhakti path, and it
Mm,
guides because this the translation and purport of Srila Prabhupada's anyone can easily understand, and they are meant for the people who are like working in professional environment, and they themselves thinks to be an advanced level. These books
mm,
can systematically explain the how the process of the God relation works, and how we can implement in our life and how the purification happens. And Srila Prabhupada says that just you try 1 month and see result yourself. So the reading Srila Prabhupada books is the for me it's a wonderful way to be connected, be motivated, and
hmm.
helps to grow in the on the spiritual path, and it gives the strong foundation ground so that our faith strengthens, and it helps us to engage ourselves in the devotional service, and
Yes,
yeah, we feel this process is the authentic process, and this is the way humans should lead the life in order to get the success and the peaceful way of life.
Jai. Thank you very much. See, it was a very, very important point. In one sentence, read Srila Prabhupada's books. We can't begin to tell you how much benefit we get spiritually by reading Srila Prabhupada's books. It brings us to, one, the ability to associate with Srila Prabhupada himself. When you read his books, you're associating with him. People say, oh, well, physically he's dead and gone and we can't associate. No, he says, I will never die. When they ask, what will happen to society? He says, but when you're gone, he says, I'm not gone. I am in my books. Just read my books. So Nityagopal Prabhu, thank you very much for bringing this point out. Reading Srila Prabhupada's books consistently, daily. Hmm? And then while you're at it too, read about Srila Prabhupada's Lamrita. Hmm? Towards the end, you will see so many things about his nature. In the middle part of the books, there's six of them, and then the seventh one has extra pastimes of the Lord of Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada and his devotees, how he related to them. Some things that were not put in the main first six books have now been compiled into a seventh book, so we can hear even more about what Srila Prabhupada did. Now, reading the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita would give us a sense of who Srila Prabhupada is, and we also get so many practical points about devotee life from reading the book. It's not about just what Srila Prabhupada did. The spiritual master is a spiritual master. And by that we mean a spiritual master is the one who instructs. So all of the exchanges back and forth with his disciples in that book also tell us, well, in the books now, it's a set of books, tell us what to do and what not to do. So as we're hearing what he did with his disciples, we're also hearing what the spiritual master expects of us when he is serious. What are the things when he's serious with us in terms of chastising us, when he's very loving in terms of bothering us and the things, and when he's encouraging, and his own ideas about how he feels about how the devotees relate to him. All of that comes out of the discussions in the books, in the books about Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita. And then, of course, there is the books that he's given wonderful purports to. Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, Srimad Bhagavatam, and all these small books that give you a sense of who Krishna is and who we are. There's so much. He wrote 84 books. There's so much that we can take advantage of. So thank you very much for bringing up this point about having to read Srila Prabhupada's books. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. And
Hare
you
Krishna.
mentioned, I like the point you mentioned, when we read Srila Prabhupada's book, we get the opportunity to associate directly with Srila Prabhupada.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Just
And
think
Prabhupada,
about it that way. So a lecture. We were not there, many of us, the time to see the Prabhupada was alive. But you're hearing from him. Even those who are in class at that time when he was around in his physical body, they were hearing from him. Well, if you read, you're still hearing from him. What he was telling was what was important, what he was talking about in the class. But he's talking about it in the books too. So that's how you get to associate with your Prabhupada. The power of the books, the idea of distributing books and reading the books, very, very important. Distributing books spreads Krishna consciousness, and those who take to it move from a Kali Yuga lifestyle to a Satya Yuga lifestyle, helping to spread that Satya Yuga 10,000 years, even more. So take this reading very, very seriously. Any other comments with the same question? Anything you'd like to add more to this?
Srila Prabhupada used to say, I read my books because when Prabhupada read the book, they are not my word. Lord has guided Srila Prabhupada to what to write. So Prabhupada used to read that book. So basically, this is the Lord's instruction through Srila Prabhupada. And when we can see that, the authenticity, simplicity, and authority in the Srila Prabhupada books is amazing. We cannot get that kind of purity in the simple and authoritative way, the knowledge of Godhead that's in the Srila Prabhupada's purport.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And he made this point, very, very important point that you brought up. He said that Krishna actually dictates to me when I write the purpose.
Correct.
Krishna dictated to me. So these are Krishna's words explaining who he is. He already spoke in the Bhagavad Gita. His words directed to Arjuna, a spiritual master and disciple. They stopped the friendship type and then did Arjuna requested that Krishna become the spiritual master and instruct him on what to do because he was confused. And all Grihamedis are confused, but they don't realize they are confused. That's the pathetic situation. They're not living, and they just know that something is wrong, but they don't know what it is. Everybody feels that something is not quite right. They can point a finger at politicians, but actually the Prabhupada said, we voted the politicians in, so we didn't vote on good criteria. And that's why we're suffering. Whatever they say, we believe. And then you vote. Oh, some people say, well, they're not good. We'll just vote for somebody who is less evil than the other person. But what about a good person? We can't get that. So we allow things to go on. So little by little, when that understanding comes that actually we need to have food for the soul, and that is Bhakti Yoga, put that at the top of everything that we do. Srila Prabhupada's book will guide us wonderfully that way. Hare Krishna. Any other comments? Last comments? It doesn't have to be the answer to the question. If you have a question yourself, you can ask, or any takeaway. If not, then thank you very much. It's been the top of the hour now. Thank you for coming, for doing yourself a favor of hearing Krishna Katha, and then hopefully that will improve our lives. Our message is don't live a Grihamedi life. Don't live a Grihamedi life. Medi means envy. And Grihamedis tend to envy other people who have more material things than they do. So take Krishna consciousness seriously, and by the grace of Nishigo Prabhupada, reminding us read Srila Prabhupada's books because it will make us grow more spiritually. Vancha kalpatarubhascha kripa sindhibhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai Vaishnav Thakur ki jai. Hare
Jai,
Krishna.
jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Glory to Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Glory to Shri Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.